Yes, what's happening, people? What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a quick little post-match reaction. In this case, where we're going to reflect just briefly on the match between Arsenal versus Como, which ended 1-1 in regular time. Obviously, Arsenal won in pens in the penalty shootout. Obviously, this was a preseason game, our last preseason game of the season of the preseason. If some people want to include the Community Shield as a more serious fixture. Some people are still saying that's part of a preseason friendly, a glorified, preseason friendly game. It depends how you interpret the Community Shield, but obviously that's our next game, this coming Sunday against, none other than Manchester City. So interpret that how you will. Is it a friendly? Is it a serious game? Maybe you guys can let us know in the comments. But anyways, it is your boy CJ here from the Gunners Corner. Before we get into it, guys, like and subscribe. As I always say, it really, really helps us out. We are looking to grow and to expand. We are getting closer to the start of the club season, which seems like it's come around damn quickly. But yeah, man, we're here. We're getting ready to start the new season. All types of updates and news and information and changes coming up. So we're looking to grow and to expand what we're doing here. And yeah, man, as always with your, support and help, we can continue to push on and kick on. So like, subscribe, hype, and support us and tell a friend to tell a friend, get us out there and we move people. So yeah, preseason, Como. Cesc Fabregas, our former player, our former captain, returning as the manager of Como. That's how you know you're getting old people too, man. Fabregas is now a manager. You're seeing Fabregas and Arteta on the touchlines. These are players we grew up watching under Arsene Wenger, and now they're managers in their own right. It's crazy. What a time. But yeah, Como, they're going to be, a decent side going into this season. Fabregas is a good coach. He's got them, well drilled. They're in the Champions League, I believe. So yeah, let's see what they bring. But it's all about us and what we're doing now, right? It's been a weird preseason. It's been a strange preseason because, our team has been mixed. We played four preseason games so far. There was one game as well that I think it was behind closed doors that the team played before the very first official preseason game, which was the game against Girona. So we played Girona, people. Obviously, we won 4-1. We then lost to Real Betis. We lost against Dortmund a couple days ago, sorry, in the Emirates Cup fixture at the Emirates. And then today's game was a 1-1 draw against Como. So let's analyze this game quickly. Well, you ask what is there to analyze? I mean, yeah, it's hard to judge off of these preseason games, especially a preseason game and a preseason tournament that preseason tournament, I should say, preseason games off the back of a World Cup tournament in a World Cup summer. A World Cup summer means that we've had players who are still yet to return, who are still even to see the field. Normal preseasons, all your players surely should be getting minutes, just days before the start of the new season, right? That's surely how this shit works. We have players up to now that haven't gotten any minutes in preseason. And again, our official Premier League season starts in just over a week's time. We're talking at the time of recording, it's Wednesday. You know, the season starts. We kick off against Coventry on Friday, I believe, the 21st. So you're looking at, 9 or so days away at the time of recording this until we kick off. And again, some of our players, some of our important players, haven't even kicked the ball in preseason. So it's a weird preseason. It's kind of concerning as well that, the season's coming back around so quickly off the back of the World Cup. You're looking at UEFA and you're looking at these big institutions, footballing organizations, and you're saying, why isn't the season, pushed back, the start of the season pushed back a bit? Why are we, off the back of the World Cup, why can't we start the new Premier League season or, club football in September? You know, just a little bit more consideration for the players, a little bit more consideration for the fact that, these guys have played so much football. They are playing so much football. They're going to be run into the ground. It's just player welfare should be first and foremost of importance, right? Not the money. Let's be honest. I'm going to call it for what it is. It's the money. Of course, that's what these footballing institutions are all about. It's all about the money, right? We have to look after the players better than this, though. 3 weeks, players are coming back. The players who went into the latter stages of the World Cup, and we have a lot of them. These guys are getting what, 3 weeks off and then coming back to get ready for a season, for another club season. What is 3 weeks when you think about how long the campaign was last year for especially our players who went all the way into the Champions League, took the title race to the final day, pretty much, or close to the final day. So it's just a lot, man. It's a lot for these players, and they haven't even gotten enough rest, in my opinion. And some of these guys are already back in training, which you love to see, Declan Rice and Saka, but as far as I'm concerned, they should be getting more rest, you know? So it's going to be interesting. The only thing I think that can really derail our campaign is fatigue and injuries. And I pray to God that that doesn't happen, obviously, but you got to be realistic and think a lot of our key guys, Saka, Rice, Gabriel, Saliba, Timber, some of these guys who've played so much football in the last season or two, have they been getting the adequate rest to be able to go again for another new campaign? So concern for another day, but listen, strictly on this game, we started with a sort of mixed team of and experienced players, um, youth and experienced players, I would say, and it was again, what can you say about it? We took the lead. Myles Lewis-Skelly. First of all, I'll just start with the lineup. Kepa was in goal. We had a young kid, Juliet, I believe was the name, young academy kid, Julian, sorry, at right back. Marley Salmon, Gabriel, and Capier. Midfield was Lewis Skelly as and Winieri. Wide left, Martinelli, wide right, Dowman, and up front was Jesus. So, yeah, like I said, you're looking at a mixed team there of experience and youth. Some players who are fringe players who maybe, you know, on their way out. We'll see. We have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, the way it started, again, we took the lead. Lewis Skelly scored the goal. And anybody who looks at this, that's the celebration of Lewis Skelly, you can read that in so many different ways. He's holding up his hands like, kind of like a prayer signs kind of thing. What is he trying to indicate there? Is he trying to be apologetic in his hand gesture of sort of a prayer sign? Is he trying to be apologetic and say, hey, sorry about these foolish rumors that have come out in the last 2 days about me leaving? Or is he indeed saying, I might be leaving and forgive me for going to maybe a rival? What are the signs? You can read that in so many different ways. And then he proceeds to throw up sort of a heart sign with his hands as well, right? So he does some hand signals, throwing up a little sort of heart sign to the fans. It seemed very intentional that moment, and what was the message that he was trying to get across with his celebration after that goal, right? It's fitting that he is the player that scored. Obviously, his name was in the headlines the last 24 hours, 48 hours or so, about links and moves away to Man United and Chelsea. Um, Look, at the end of the day, I just hope he stays. I'll be crashing out. I'll be fuming as well as many other Arsenal fans if Myles Lewis-Skelly does leave the football club this summer. He shouldn't. Just because Bruno's come in, for me that doesn't mean anything. Um, Again, is an older player, experienced player. He's 28 going on 29. Myles Lewis-Skelly's still got his whole career ahead of him. He's 19 years of age. So even when Bruno's done and dusted, you would think Myles Lewis-Skelly will be next in line to come through. Myles Lewis-Skelly can learn off of Bruno Guimaraes and continue to learn off the likes of Declan Rice and be groomed in and eased in slowly into a more prominent first team role. Once those guys, certainly Bruno, who's a little bit older, once those guys, fizzle out of the team after a few years, right? And Lewis Skelly, it's still more than there for him to take the role and take the reins and be the main man in Arsenal's midfield for years to come. The guy is still, like, again, 19 years of age, like I said. There's time on his side. There's no need for him to leave. He shouldn't want to leave. By all accounts, we hear he does not want to leave. He's Arsenal through and through, so hopefully he stays because, yeah, it's not just about the sentiment about him being a Highlander and he's one of our own. It's the fact that he's a quality footballer. Like he's a top baller, this guy, Lewis Skelly. Finally giving a chance to play in his position in midfield. Keep him. Let's keep him and see what he can do and let him learn off of the more experienced and more established guys. Keep him around, man. That's ridiculous if it talks about him going. Just he's not the one that we sacrifice, in my opinion. Interesting to me to see that Zubimendi didn't get any minutes today. Maybe is there something more that we look into with that, or is it just one of those things? It's not that serious. Coincidence, more rest after going the distance in the World Cup, although he didn't really play too much in the World Cup. But yeah, do we look into that? Is Zubimendi going to be a sacrificial lamb in midfield? Again, I hope not. We need to keep this squad, as far as I'm concerned. There's just no point of you know, this one in, one out policy. We need to keep our quality squad midfielders. It's going to be another long campaign, as I mentioned. And Zubimendi's a quality player. Let's not forget that, right? So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, you keep Zubimendi, but he didn't play today, which is interesting. Um, where do we go from here? Starting from the back, Kepa. I think Kepa did what Kepa does. Nothing spectacular. I think the less said about him, the better, really, because you're hoping that Raya comes in as soon as possible. In this game, Raya did play in the second half, which was very positive. Again, another one you're thinking, he came back too soon. He just won a World Cup. Yes, he didn't play in it. But mental fatigue and mental recovery is important as well, right? So is 3 weeks enough time after Raya's had a long season with club and country, a long emotional season? I didn't think so, but he's being sort of rushed back, you would think. And he said he did want to come back early, sure, but we could have, if we were in a better position, we could have said, Raya, hang about, continue to put your feet up, don't come back too soon because we have, adequate replacement for you. But at this moment in time, not too many people are sure about Kepa. His performances in preseason have been indifferent. Again, today he didn't have anything stand out where you look at and think, oh, that's poor. But Kepa, you're still looking at and thinking based on his performances in preseason, based on the Carabao Cup final last season, that yeah, this guy is he's not it. And if Raya gets injured, we're in a bit of trouble. So, but anyways, yes, today he came off about halftime-ish, Kepa. And again, he didn't have his poor performances as he has previously. I don't think the goal was his fault. It was pure power, that goal. Um, that goal was more so the goal that we conceded, you would think would be more so down to poor defending, a combination of our young players, Dauman and Julian there. Um, but yeah, the power that their player got on the finish, um, you would think that and the player's name is just let me confirm Como's goal scorer, Baturina. So the power that he got on that finish, yes, it was sort of near postish, but I think Kepa was a bit exposed. He didn't have much choice and an option to save it with the power that was got on, put on the shot, and the fact that you expect the defenders in front of him to defend that situation better, you know. Um, so anyways, Kepa we know is the back of our best. Will he be here by the end of the window or not? We'll have to watch the space on that one. We'll go into Julian himself, the young academy player. He did all right. Again, obviously the goal that we conceded where he got done for the goal, that's gonna happen. That can happen. He's a young player. He's got to iron that out of his game. He's playing against, professional, men now in a professional game. In Como, there's gonna be better sides than Como in world football, but you're playing a professional men's first team, right? In Como, you're not playing academy prospects, academy kids, right in this game. So it's yeah, that can happen, and if he wants to get to the top level, he's gonna have to iron that out of his game. He'll have to defend better, of course. But going forward, we saw some good things. We saw some good combinations with him and Max Dowman, him and a couple other players. He looked pretty tidy on the ball. So this is the first we're seeing really of this kid, and let's see what he has to offer if he's going to be around at Arsenal Football Club for the longer term. Salmon is brilliant. I think he's a big talking point in this game. You really have to applaud what you're seeing from a 16-year-old center back who still has, to fill into his body physically. He's looked the part against, I'm talking about Julian, having to sort of adapt to playing against men's football, professional footballers. Marley Salmon's been doing that in this preseason. He's looked one of our better players, showing some strength, showing some pace, showing some bravery, some courage, some skill on the ball. There's a good skill he did on the second half where he dropped a shoulder looking, dare I say, like a Saliba-esque type figure, with his comfortability on the ball and beating guys by dropping a shoulder, in dangerous central areas when you're a center back, sort of last man or second last man back, right? Marley Simon is showing some great composure. And it's good that he has the likes of Saliba and Gabriel to learn off. Like who better to learn off than those two? So what we're seeing from him is good. Now, I still think we need to go into the market and bring in another right-sided defender for a more experienced right-sided defender. Um, so Marley Simon, I don't think he should be heavily relied on in Saliba's absence. For instance, I have come around to admit that I think we do need to go into the market because Saliba's injury is worrying. We don't know when he's going to be back. We can't afford to drop too many points. In Saliba's absence, and waiting for him to come back, we're still trying to chase top honors again and go again next season. So we can't rest on our laurels. If it means bringing in a replacement, to keep us at that level, we're gonna have to do it, not rely on Marley Simon. So whilst he's having a good preseason, Marley Simon, keep him around the club, keep him around to learn off of the senior players, but don't throw him into the deep end, so to speak. Gabriel played about 45 minutes or so, came off by halftime. Um, he's another one I'm a little bit concerned about in terms of minutes. I think he's played a lot of football, Gabriel, in the last few seasons, and I feel like his rest this summer between, Brazil exiting the World Cup and coming back for preseason, I don't think he's had a long enough rest. And there were little whispers and murmurs that there is some concern about his fatigue, physically, whether it's his knees or, muscular injuries. Gabriel, it would be nice if he can get more of a rest, but again, I'm not sure that's going to be the case now, especially without Saliba. It's looking tough. There's going to be a lot more pressure on Gabriel to lead the line and carry that back line there. So Hincapié, he also played about 60 minutes or so. Defensively, you're always more assured with Hincapié back there than I think than with Calafiori. Calafiori, he still has these moments for me where he got an error in him. And definitely he gives us more offensively, Calafiori, but you're a defender first and foremost, and I trust Hincapié defensively more than I trust Calafiori at the moment. So that's just where I'm at with that. Um, Eze, got minutes, about 32 minutes or so, had some good touches in the game, working his way back to fitness. Not too much concerns there. Ethan Wanieri played about half the game, came off at halftime-ish. Decent. I still think Wanieri is a sacrificial lamb. I still think he's going to go at some point this window, whether it's on loan or a permanent sale. I'm kind of, embracing myself for his inevitable departure, to be honest with you. I don't want it to happen, but I think yeah, it might just be something that we look at. And Dauman, I think Dauman, he's had better games this preseason. Girona, for example, even Betis, Real Betis game. He's had better games, so he wasn't the greatest today. But Dauman is absolutely going to be fine. He's going to be a big part of the squad, and he's going to be a big part of, what we do going forward. And unlike Wanieri, it looks like Dauman actually does have a future at the club to be, a big part of what we do. He looks like a special talent. Believe it or not, again, he contributed to winning us a game, at least one game minimum in the Premier League last season. That famous Everton game where he assisted Gyökeres and then went on that mazy run to score the second goal. So Max Dahman, he's I think more than played his part to stay and be here long term, and he's one of our prized possessions. And yeah, we're happy with that. And then Jesus up top. The less said about him, the better. I think same thing with Martinelli on the left side. Those two look like they could be on their way, and I think they should be on their way, to be fair. Thank you for your services to the both of those Brazilians. We've seen you a lot in recent years, and yeah, the level hasn't really raised, and we do need to raise our level and go up a level. So those two could and should be on the chopping block this off season, this preseason, and before the window closes. I would hope to see the back of both of them. And again, thank you for your services and you Premier League winners with Arsenal. But yeah, we can't stay stagnant. We gotta go up a level. Um, Otherwise, as mentioned, a lot of rotation in this game. Fabio Vieira, how he's still at the football club, I have no idea. Fabio Vieira came off the bench. Gyökeres off the bench. Raya, Mascara, Bruno Guimaraes, who we'll touch on in a minute. Odegaard, Ben White, Calafiori, Havertz, Marino, Solis, Madueke, and Ogun Niaki. I completely butchered his name. Defender that came on for us, defender from the academy. So out of that, again, players who are coming in getting short minutes. There's players who are coming on and coming back off the pitch. For example, Gyökeres comes in. Gyökeres, I think he came in the 32nd minute, played about half an hour and came back off. So not too much time to assess a player like that when these are the minutes that they're kind of getting. So you do have to touch on the elephant in the room and the standout player who is a Bruno Guimaraes. Fantastic that he's at the football club. Fantastic player. He's already embraced warmly by the fans. Fans are already chanting Bruno, Bruno, Bruno when he steps onto the pitch, when he gets onto the ball. It's just fantastic to see. He is going to be a fan favorite, I think. Premier League ready, Premier League proven. And that's what the kind of players that we need to push us on and go again. He's going to be hungry to win some trophies. So hopefully, he gives that extra energetic boost to the players who have already won the Premier League with Arsenal Football Club. It's easy to once you've won it to kind of rest on your laurels a little bit and say, I've won it. Now it's becomes a little bit more relaxed. But Bruno Guimaraes himself will be hungry to taste his first Premier League title, for example, or more, right? Champions Leagues and other cup competitions. And he came to this club, he said, to win trophies, and he thinks he's in the best club to win trophies. So he's hungry for it. So maybe that hunger that he has and the leadership and the drive, he's a presence, right? So that will drive on, I think, the rest of the locker room as well to go again and give us that extra bit of spark and energy that we need. Perfect complement to Declan Rice to play alongside him, to play instead of him. Um, Fantastic signing, and we saw him get on the ball in this game, bits and bobs. It's only a matter of time. He's just going to continue to grow into his own in this midfield. And yeah, Bruno Guimaraes, welcome to the Arsenal. Brilliant to get some minutes. Will he start on Sunday in the Community Shield? Let me know what you guys think. Um, but yeah, I mean, otherwise, I think what's clear to see after analyzing this game, again, it was a 1-1 draw. Story of us in a lot of last season, to be honest with you, where we get a lot of chances that we don't really make much of. We're not clinical enough, we're not penetrating enough. With the chance creation that we have, with the possession that we have, should be scoring more than one goal a game. Certainly at the Emirates when you're home, in front of your own fans, right? That's something that's got to change. And Arteta said it after the game, and I'm paraphrasing, but he did talk about how, we are looking into the market to improve the quality level, the skill level, perhaps in our attack, right? I think he knows that, this is exactly what we need. And yeah, it's about time, man. If Arteta, you do want to address this properly, you know, y- we all know Arteta to bring in, goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders over the years, but it's kind of seemed like from the outside looking in that the attack has been sort of neglected a bit, dare I say, right? Like we haven't put as much energy into the attack under Arteta as we have in other areas, defensive areas, for instance. So I hope from the Champions League final post-match reaction interview that he did to him talking now in preseason, talking about needing quality upgrades and improvements and attacking areas and needing to improve the skill level. I'm hoping that he's not understanding that, yeah, this team needs something in the forward line for us to be able to go again and for us to be able to achieve what we want to achieve. So hopefully there's enough time in the window to address it. But yeah, we're just gonna have to and wait and see. But yeah, preseason, almost done and dusted. We have the Community Shield next, and then it's right into the Premier League season with the game against Coventry. So yeah, people, that's it. That's how things are looking at this moment in time. We are getting ready for the start of the season. Coventry, first Premier League game. I'm expecting 3 points because you have to start strong, and what a better game to start off strong with against the new promoted side. I think Lampard's the manager there, Frank Lampard. Make no mistake, it could be a tricky game because they'll have nothing to lose. Just recently promoted, buzzing with energy, coming to the home of the champions. They're gonna, come out and put up a fight, and we got to be ready for it. So preseason hasn't showed us too much to be if you're looking at the results, right? One win, two losses, and a tie. It's not great form, but again, preseason is preseason, right? And it's been a weird preseason because of the players missing due to the World Cup. So just let's make sure that we're ready when the start of the season comes around. But before then, like I mentioned, the Community Shield. And I think the boys are going to take that seriously because of the opposition being Man City. So looking forward to it. Exciting stuff to come, people. Make sure you keep it locked here because we're going to cover it all as we always do. And the content's going to be coming thick and fast as the season comes back around. So make sure you're locked in here with us. Like and subscribe. Hype up the video. I've been CJ from the Gunner's Corner, and we'll talk to you soon, people. We're out. Bye bye.